This is the GTN Show. Welcome. Last week we saw another World Championships event. It was the XTERRA over in Maui, so we'll be looking at the results from that, as well as bringing you race results from other events around the world.
On top of that, we have some world records with a difference, drug testing in age group races, as well as some news that could put a stop to triathlon in the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games.
Last week we wanted to find out what you thought was the most important title in triathlon, and admittedly there are quite a few to choose from, so we gave you the poll with those 5 options.
Well, in 5th place it was the ITU long distance triathlon world title. Then in 4th it was the XTERRA world title. In 3rd it was the 70.3 world title, and in 2nd it went to the ITU short distance, and then in 1st place with a whole 64%, it was the IRONMAN world title.
Well, it looks like long distance wins over the shorter but more intense ITU, and therefore I think I get a little victory.
I think you beat me a little bit there, yeah.
Well, moving on this week, it's coming into off-season, or it might already be off-season for you, and we want to know what you're doing with it and how long you take off, if you take any time at all.
Yeah, so those options are none, 1 to 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, or 4 weeks and more.
I'm definitely the 4 weeks or more.
Mine's been certainly a prolonged off-season break.
Well, we'd love to know what you do with that break as well, so do make sure you leave your comments in the section below, and if you want to vote on the poll, just click on the link above my head. Now, recently there have been a couple of impressive yet slightly different world records that have been broken, both of which I can't even imagine completing, let alone being competitive in.
Well, speak for yourself, Heather. I think this one might suit me.
Oh, yeah?
The beer mile, and you start it by downing a pint of beer and then completing 4 and a bit laps of an athletics track, downing a pint every lap. So you may wonder whether this requires any athletic prowess, but Corey Bellamore proved it does. He did it in an astonishing time of 4 minutes and 33 seconds to set a new world record.
That's impressive.
Well, there is another record that is very impressive and different, but I'm not sure I could compete in this one.
No, I'm not sure you could, Mark. Jessica Bruce ran a 3-hour 22 marathon 6 months after giving birth. But if that's not impressive enough, she did it whilst pushing a double buggy with her 6-month-old and her 2-year-old son in the buggy, and that was weighing about 30 kilos. And she's added this record to her previous record of the single buggy marathon time as well.
With the European Triathlon Championships taking place in Scotland next year, it's just been announced that they're going to be performing random drug tests on the age group athletes. Now, this isn't the first time age group triathletes have been subject to drugs testing, but it is becoming more and more frequent.
Yeah, and some people still argue that it's not necessary, as age group athletes are amateurs, but it is in a way a compliment to the fact that the standard is continually improving, and therefore there's a bit more at stake with these races. So some athletes are prepared to bend the rules and sadly even break them by taking performance enhancing drugs, and there have been some cases already proven. So it's good to hear that they're starting to clamp down on that.
Well, it's not just that either. There's also the issue of taking prohibited substances without really having the knowledge of doing so. It's something the pros have to worry about, but now the age groupers too.
Well, a couple of pros who did get caught short were Beth Gerdes and Lauren Barnett, who sadly faced a ban. Now, that was because they had a nutrition product they were using that was contaminated. But at the end of the day, it does remind you that you're responsible for whatever goes in your body.
Just how easy it can be.
Yeah.
Well, if you are competing in the European Champs, they're actually hosting a number of webinars that you can tune into to find out this information, as well as accessing information through your national governing body and also the WADA and Global DRO websites.
Women for Tri is part of the IRONMAN Foundation and was started back in 2015. And now they've just announced another round of funding. This time it's going to 11 Women for Tri triathlon clubs in the United States. And that's going to bring the total they've put in to more than $183,000.
Well, these grants were set up to support local triathlon clubs develop activities and programs that will increase female participation in triathlon. And the clubs can utilise these grants to provide specific training for female triathletes and breaking these barriers to participation, amongst other things.
I think it's such a valuable thing. Myself, I'm always trying to get more women into triathlon and anything that can do that. And hopefully we'll start to see this spread across the rest of the world.
It's 1,000 days to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics.
Whoa, it's not.
Well, it's close enough. It's about 995 days now, but that doesn't,
Get it right.
if that doesn't have quite the same punch to it. Well, Tokyo marked the occasion by celebrating it with a countdown and a demonstration of all the events.
Well, the excitement is obviously building for some more than others, but there has been a slight worry that they could have a repeat of the Rio Olympics when there was the scare of the water quality for the triathlon and the marathon swimming. Now, they had a survey that was looking at the water quality, and it found that the E. coli levels were 21 times higher than the sports governing bodies would allow.
Well, you'll be pleased to know that it's all under control and it's improving. They've pledged to keep the water clean and safe. So it should be fine for 2020. And I guess it's better to know now than late. Now it's time for Caption of the Week. And last week we had a photo of Javier Gomez on the top spot of the podium at the Ironman World Champs in Chattanooga, drinking champagne out of his shoe. And we had some great captions coming in. So to kick things off, here's one from Kashyap Trisha. They said, after a tough Ironman, that is how you soothe your soul. Like it soul.
Yeah, I do like that one. But our favourite this week was sent in from Ready Set Video, and he says, the best champagne showers come from the clouds. Now, very observant, Javier Gomez was using an on running shoe, and their motto is running on the clouds. So we like that one. And Ready Set Video, just send in your details, you can get your free cap.
And for the photo this week, we have a photo from the finish line of Ironman Italy, where we've got Jens Pettersson back, talking and laughing with Andrea Strites. I just wish I knew what they were talking about.
Yeah, so do I. And we would love to have your suggestions, so please leave your captions in the comments section below. Well, the big race last weekend was the XTERRA World Championships in Maui, and the favourite in the women's race was Flora Duffy. She's won it 3 times before, and she didn't disappoint. She was in absolutely brilliant form. She won each of the disciplines individually and ended up getting the title by almost 9 minutes and finished 13th out of the men's field as well. But then the battle ended up being for second and third, and it was Barbara Riveros who took the silver medal, and Laura Phillip, who found herself chasing from the swim all the way through, finished just over a minute behind in third.
Well, over in the men's race, it was actually Flora Duffy's training partner, Bradley Weiss of South Africa, that tasted his first victory in the Worlds, beating the favourite and last year's winner, Mauricio Mendes. But it was Ruben Rizafa that led off the bike. He was quickly passed by Weiss and then Mendes. Mendes was a minute back on Weiss coming into the finish, and then Rizafa very close behind in third.
Challenge Sardinia held their half-distance race last weekend, and there were quite a few athletes making the most of their end-of-season fitness, especially as this fell just 2 weeks after Ironman Kona. And on the women's side, it was Laura Siddle who made the most of this, doubling up, and she actually finished second at the challenge race, just behind Heather Wurtell, who won it, and then in third place it was Marta Bernardi.
Well, over on the men's side, it was the Spaniard Vicente Hernandez that had an impressive performance to finish 4 minutes clear of the strong Belgian Bart Ernorts, and then close behind, I think they even may have had a sprint finish, just a few seconds behind, we had the American Rudolf von Berg.
Ironman 70.3 Austin had a strong showing from ITU athletes, especially on the women's side. It was won by Sarah True in her first season at this distance, and then Paula Finney in her first race at 70.3 finished second, with Jenny Seymour in third.
Well, over on the men's side, it was won by a former under-23 world champion, Franz Loska, and he was over a minute clear of second. And there was actually a sprint finish for second place, but it was Jesper Svensson that took it, and then in third it went to Justin Metzler.
It was the Nepean Triathlon, Australia's oldest triathlon event, that attracted some top athletes last weekend. On the women's side, it was won for the third time by Ashley Gentle. Gillian Backhouse was second and Natalie Van Corverden in third.
While over on the men's side, it was won by Aaron Royal, and in second was Ryan Bailey, and third was James Davey. Now for comment of the week, and we had a load of great comments coming in this week, particularly on our Ask the Pros pre-race breakfast video. And if you haven't watched it already, please do so, because Andy Potts, I mean, what can we say? He loves muffins, and quite a few of you picked up on that. Alistair Wood said, Andy Potts knows the Muffin Man.
Another comment on this is from Surya Vanamali, Muffin Man for the win.
Yes, and we do have to apologise as well for a slight spelling mistake on Holly Lawrence's name. Quite a few of you picked up on it. And we can tell you that we have dealt with the editor personally, and they will not be making that mistake again.
Muffins. Yeah, I'm a muffin man, for sure.
Now it's time for GTN Pain Cave. And to kick things off, William Hadlow sent one in over Facebook. And quite impressively, he's got a fridge all stocked up, ready beside his bike.
Do you know what's more impressive, Mark? Whilst on his bike, he's watching you.
What can I say? Very impressive also, like the wooden trunk there. Very nice.
Classy.
Okay, moving on. And here's one from Christian Rubenheimer, and this is from his Pain balcony in Frankfurt.
I love this, Ruben. I love the effort you've gone to with the step ladder. Then you found an upturned bucket, rested the iPad on top of that, and then your watch on top of the ladder. It's definitely a lot of effort gone into it.
Yeah, and a really classic spin bike there. And finally, one from Nikki Wilson, sent in over Facebook message. And this is very smart. What do you think, Heather?
Well, she's very proud of all the races. I mean, that's a lot of medals, Nikki.
Very proud that she's also just finished a race because she's still got her number on a bike. And a very smart wheel for a turbo, may I say. And please keep your Pain Cave photos coming in using the hashtag GTN Pain Cave over Twitter, or send them in over Facebook. That's it for the GTN show, and please remember to send in your captions in the comments below.
And if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and to subscribe to GTN, just click on the globe. And if you want to watch a video on winter training tips, just click down here.
And to see our Ask the Pros pre-race breakfast video, just click down here.